All right, guys. So I'm going to show you some stuff here. Okay. So we're gonna wax up for this patient, Ildo. We got your different modules. I like to, depending, on a case like this, I like to just drag both my models right into the model editing. So when you let go here, it's going to import these models into the software.
And these are STLs.
These are STLs.
These come off your scanner, right? These are models. These are things that you scan and you download it off MyAtero. Some of the guys are still, figuring this stuff out, right? And then you just import those STL files from the MyAtero.
Okay, so this first section is going to tell the software where these teeth are in relation. So I usually like to start with the upper model. So you click upper model. You tell it, is it a maxilla? Yes. What type of model? It's a dentate. It's a dentate model. And you're going to say continue to alignment. You can skip this section, but I like to do it just because it tells the software which way is up. So this is going to say, hold the shift key, and you're going to click 3 points. And it's going to tell you, it's going to say, drop 3 points on the model. So you're going to do a point on a molar. And this is, buccal of the second molar. It doesn't really matter. I like to do the same point on either side. So this patient, first molar, first molar. So if I put one on the palatal cusp of the first molar, is this me beeping?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So we've got one palatal cusp of the first molar, and then it's going to say right in the incisal edge. So this is saying where's the patient's midline, and then one on the same point on the opposite tooth. So palatal cusp of the other first molar. So now this is making a triangle on the patient's occlusal plane. So now the software, as soon as you click it, it locked it in. You see how it kind of knows now where the patient's occlusal plane is for the most part? This is just helpful down the road now because if you see this little face on the lower left, when you're moving it, it's moving it as if you were moving the patient's face. So we're good. We just hit continue and finish. Yep.
Let's move your desk over a little bit so I think we can see what
Yeah.
you put on the table.
Yeah.
Just a hair. Yeah, there.
Is that better?
We'll be able to see it.
Okay, cool. I'll move to All right, so now I acquired these scans in that open bite protocol because if we look at, see this patient's jacked up his incisal edges here. And so if I wanted to prep all of his upper teeth, I want to open his bite up a little bit. And so I put a leaf gauge in and I scanned him at an opened vertical. Now again, that's just kind of comes down to how you want to restore the patient. But in this case, I wanted to do an open bite. So a little leaf gauge, I scanned him. Now you can see clearance between all of his teeth. The other thing is, do you see how these are open shell? You remember how you can export your models as an open shell or a closed model? You remember that option in the iTero? So I like open shell when you're bringing in a software because it allows you to see through when you're going to dial in the occlusion. So I wanted to show you guys a couple little features here as we're in this model editing function so you can understand how models relate to each other. So these models were scanned in this bite. So they have a relationship to one another.
Hey, Matt, help us out. Some of us don't have that tab open on the side. You have to go up to the right and show the view panels or something?
Okay, so upper right corner, that's your module. And so module, we're in model editing. Mm-hmm. So we should be in model editing. The panels tab up here at the top will show you all the different tabs that might be left. So this is called the model manipulation tab. You see that? Or panel. This is the model manipulation panel. Yep. So your panels, the ones that you should have check marked are your surfaces and your model manipulation. So that way you've got two panels here that you can jump back and forth between. Surfaces allows you to turn on and off different objects. So I had them all labeled for you guys, your lower model, your upper model, and you can click to hide and you can turn them on and off. You can make them transparent, do various things there. But we want to be in this model manipulation panel. And you guys don't have to do this really quick, but I wanted to show an important concept of stitching models. Because let's just say I manually moved this lower model and I got it out of a line. Let's just say, well, shoot, now these aren't aligned in that byte that I took it in. Under this model manipulation, we have what's called alignment, and I can tell a model to align to another model via its original reference that it was scanned in. So let's say I want to put this green lower model back to that blue model in the byte I took. You have your lower model checked. You go down to alignment and you say align to model. And then this is important because you're going to tell it I want to align it to the blue model, but not using points. Because if you use points, you're basically going to click two models with points and tell them to line up over each other. This is saying I don't want to use points. I want to use their original reference. So when I click that, it snapped right back because it said, okay, I know that lower model was originally referenced to that blue model when it was scanned. So it's a good concept to think about in the software. Like you can align models to each other and move them, but they all have an original reference to one another that you can utilize, and sometimes you need to do that. So that's just something to kind of keep in consideration. So we've got our two models in here, and we're going to start dropping in teeth. So which module do we go to? We go to denture. So does everybody have their models in the software? We're all good? Okay. So let's go upper right. We're going to switch modules. We're going to switch to the denture module. Now, in this denture module, the only panel that I have on my computer screen right now is called teeth surfaces. So I want to make sure that I have my panel turned on. I want two panels. I want the denture design panel and the teeth STL surfaces panel, which I already have up. So I want to make sure that this denture design panel is here. So you guys should have at least these two panels. Because the denture panel is what we're going to be using to manipulate it here in a second. All right, so.
How'd you get to those?
So there's a panel tab on the top. That allows you to turn on and off various panels. And then those panels allow you to access different functions. So why the software allows you to turn those on and off, I don't really know. But that's where you go to make sure that they're back on.
And I've been stuck there a few times not knowing, like,
yeah.
Wait a minute, where are all my tabs at? Because you used to have your tabs on the left you work with.
Yep.
And you just have to go back up the panels and turn them on.
Yep.
So they show up on the left side. So right,
and I'll tell you guys, if you guys are doing this, at work, I would invest in monitors like what you have in front of you. If you guys are working off of little 19-inch resolution monitors and you want to have all these panels open and various things, you need a workspace. So we bought nice big monitors at work. Invest in them, they're cheap. Get something at least like this, like a 27-inch, where you can have more stuff open. So.
You'll regret the 27. Just go 32.
I mean, yeah.
Seriously.
I agree. Yeah, 50. Yeah. Just keep going up.
He has to compensate.
Runs in the family.
All right, so we're gonna add our teeth in. So on the upper, you guys should see a plus tooth because we're in the denture module. We're gonna click Add Tooth. But remember, because we're in the denture module, we're gonna be able to add a chain of teeth and not just individual teeth. So let's look down our set. So we're gonna choose our tooth library first. This is those 10 different libraries that come stock in the software. I like the very bottom one. Mitch Hurst Flat Anatomy. It just seems to be my go-to. So this is the set that comes up. Now we're gonna select which teeth we want to import. I could sit here and I could click every single tooth, but what it's easier is to look at the bottom and use these utilities, and it says select all the maxillary teeth. So we're gonna do an upper Waxup only. So let's do that. Let's click this. And it's going to select all 14 maxillary teeth for us just in one click. The size, I always leave it as medium, and then the slider bar will allow us to tweak that in a second. So you don't need to mess with the size. We've got all these in red. They're all selected. And we're going to click OK. So now you're going to hover this, and now you can see my mouse turned into what looks like a right central incisor probably. Now this is where we want to click to load in all the teeth. Now you do this by shift clicking. So you're going to put your incisor kind of close to number 8, and you're going to shift and then click. One click takes about 3 seconds, and it's going to put in this whole chain of teeth. Now you can see, look, I was off. I clicked it, and it's like, it's close, but it's not quite there. So we have this full arch of teeth now with these rings and these arrows. The rings allow you to rotate. So if you want to rotate your arch, you use the rings. If you want to slide the arch, you use the big arrow. Avoid the small arrow. That moves the rings. And there's not really a function that I know of that uses that. So avoid the small arrow, use the big arrow. So what we're going to do is, this is where you get to sit here and globally get these teeth close to where you are going to want them. So just sit here and move them around and just put them somewhere in the arch form. So all we're going to do is look at really big picture. We're looking at 8 and 9. We're looking at midline. And we're looking at occlusal plane. So here's my midline. I'd like to look straight on and get that midline locked in. Let's get that locked in first. And we're looking at the lower here. And we're going to see, okay, that's kind of where we want to set the occlusal table, pretty close to that. So you get your midline on, and you get your occlusal table close. But as you can see, you guys noticing this chain of teeth is too narrow, right, for this patient's arch? It sits within the blue. It needs to be broadened out. But we don't want to worry about that quite yet. That's our second set. You want to get it midline on, occlusal plane close. I'm going to walk around before I jump into the next step. Yeah, that looks good. You're on it, you know. Cool. Good. Nice. You're getting midline there. So you went with hiding your lower arch, right? Just to kind of clear it out of the way a little bit. Cool. And you did a different library, right?
No, I did the fly.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, how are you doing? Did you get your teeth in there?
I messed them all up.
Okay.
So I just started over.
Yep. Select all. Perfect. Perfect. And then you're gonna.
I see my incisor keeps coming out.
Keeps coming off. So what I do, shift click anywhere. Just get them into the scene, basically. By shift clicking, you're just gonna drop the whole arch into the scene, and then you can start spinning around. Now, the reason why it did that, and you know how I know, is because you see how your head's looking that way, and your teeth are going forward? That was that alignment step. Remember in the beginning? Did you skip alignment?
No, I did it, but it doesn't center on the grid.
Okay, it was off?
Yeah.
Okay. So somehow, maybe you clicked cuss-tipped, midline, or sometimes you might have clicked in the wrong orientation direction, or maybe you did. Sure. Good. Cool. So you got your upper selected, maxilla selected, dentate selected. So good.
So what I did was
cool. So this is where you don't want to click that. That's where you got off. So see how it's telling you it wants the midline first, and then it wants the matching point. There you go. So now look at your face is forward, that's forward. So yep, you want to do in that order. Cool. Oh, nice. That looks good. You're close.
So how do I affect the occlusion though? Like
Yep.
that's too much
overdid. Of course, I want to bring things in a little bit if
Yep.
I can or whatever. How do you manipulate that?
Yep. So if you look here, when you look, you go, oh wow, I'm way facial, right? And so this is where you're going to bring this back.
Oh, okay.
So what you want to look at is you're really starting with 8 and 9 in mind, getting them close here.
Class 1.
Yep.
Class 1.
Yep. And then you're looking at occlusal plane is fairly even here. So you're close. You've got 8 and 9 lined up, and you got occlusal plane. Now you can see it's too narrow, right? This arch form is too narrow for this patient. So we're going to jump to that in a second.
Okay.
But you're pretty close here.
All right.
Okay, so you get the idea, right? You could
Yes.
maybe scoot back just a touch there, right? You're pretty close there. So you got things globally close. So I'm going to help you with the next step here in a second. You help these two. Hey guys, Dr. B is here, and he's going to help walk around and help teach.
Right? If you're not on anything,
I see.
you can move it like this and look at it from underneath. And say, oh, okay, now I need the green ring and level out this way, right?
Okay.
And I gotta ring this over like it, right?
Okay.
And then down this way.
Okay.
Just kind of mess with it.
Yep. So you're just trying to get things close.
It's hard when you first use this software, like, how do I move all this damn
Yep.
things everywhere? It gets
Yep.
confusing until you kind of learn, okay, this ring does this does this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And
Every
the
little
arrows do this.
click and, yep. Yeah, there you go, big arrow, yep.
Everybody
Good.
there.
Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna keep moving on here for the sake of time. Remember, guys, this scale function. Don't forget this scale function here. This allows you to size the teeth. So the patient might have small teeth. So this is where you're going to get your sizing in. So if you need to change size of teeth, you got this tool right here.